This billionaire couple, deliberately dressed as food delivery workers, because they had just reunited with the father they lost years ago, to test his character. The son told him he was now delivering food for a living and that his wife worked as a waitress at a restaurant. Together, they barely made $3,000 a month. After saying this, he cautiously asked his father if he looked down on them for not being successful, but to his surprise, the father's eyes filled with tears, and he pulled them both into a tight hug, saying all that mattered was that their family was finally together again. Soon after, the father happily shared that he had a blind date today, and he wanted them to meet his potential partner. The son immediately agreed to come along, but when they arrived at the hotel, the woman blocked them at the entrance. She pointed at the couple and asked the man who they were. When he explained they were his son and daughter-in-law, her expression instantly changed. She refused to let them in. The man was confused and pressed for a reason, but the woman coldly replied that her parents and her son already disapproved of him because he was just a mover, and now that he brought along a son who delivers food and a waitress for a daughter-in-law, there was no way this marriage would go through. The man's face darkened, but the woman stood her ground. In anger, he dragged his son and daughter-in-law into the private dining room anyway. As soon as they entered, the woman's mother began scolding the man for being 5 minutes late. Then everyone's eyes turned to the couple. The woman's son immediately called hotel security, trying to throw them out. The man stopped them just in time and announced the couple were his family, but this only made the woman's mother more condescending. Still, the billionaire couple stayed polite. For the sake of the father's happiness, they even presented 2 bottles of rare honey as a gift, but the woman's mother scoffed and knocked the bottles to the floor, mocking that they would never allow their family to marry beneath their status. At that moment, the woman's best friend finally spoke up, saying what mattered in a marriage was character, and urged her friend to talk some sense into her family. But the woman's mother snapped, saying if the man wanted to marry her daughter, he'd have to buy a house and a car first, and until that was ready, there would be no wedding. The man was clearly unhappy and reminded everyone they had already agreed to save up first, but the woman's son wouldn't hear it. Right then, the man's son stood up and calmly said they would cover the cost of the house and car. They immediately agreed to buy everything: house, car, wedding gold. The next day, after leaving, the son's assistant rushed over with a team, and the son instructed him to buy a small house worth hundreds of thousands and send the address to his father under his own name. The next day, as the couple prepared to take the father to see the house, the assistant suddenly arrived in a panic. He confessed that he had accidentally sent the father the address of their top-tier mansion. Now the father was on his way there. Meanwhile, the woman's family had already arrived outside the mansion, thinking the man was about to buy it for her. Her son mocked that he had just looked up the property value, and people like the man and his son could never afford it. The woman's mother jumped in and began hurling insults. Finally, the man could take no more and directly broke up with the woman, but she immediately demanded a $1 million breakup fee. When the man didn't respond, her son exploded with rage and ordered their bodyguards to attack him. Just then, the man's son arrived on the scene